Before we begin, thank you very much to Sir MK for being my latest patron over at patreon.com/TJOmega. Yeah, it is going strong, and I thank all of you for the support. I thank all of you for pitching in. It means the world to me. And if you haven't heard, the new milestone goal is an episode-by-episode review of Beast Wars. That's 52 videos I'm promising you if we hit that goal. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot, but I'm willing to do it for you guys. Since you're supporting me, I'm gonna try and make as much for you as I can. And speaking of, I had a much juicier video in mind today, but I want to make sure that it is as thought out as I can get, and I want to polish this one a little bit more. So in the meantime, let's do a good old tier list. I haven't done one of these in a bit, and since I'm happy with Beast Wars and Beast Machines as being my topics lately, well, Beast Wars more than Beast Machines, but hey, we're going to cover them both. This tier list is for all of the Beast characters, both Beast Wars and Beast Machines, so we're going to go through them one by one and figure out where they belong in an S through F tier. I don't have a blank tier this time to do those little, like, up next photos like I've been doing, so for the moment, just presume that we're going to be talking about the one in the upper left column, or the upper left, right in here. So we're starting with Beast Machine's Megatron. So I'm of two minds about him. He's a very imposing villain, since he is literally Cybertron itself. He commands all of these drones. He's successfully won. He is in control of literally everything. The problem is, it is, of course, very much against his original characterization in Beast Wars, and he does have a few fatal flaws in this megalomaniac version of him. He's not as charismatic. It seems like he's lost a few steps as far as, like, cleverness goes. For him, I think a B is about where he lands. And we're gonna see where he sits, because that might change. That might change as we look through everything else. The next one up is Obsidian, but Striker right behind him. Now this one is different. Striker and Obsidian are essentially the same character, but they're a fascinating character. One of the more fascinating in Beast Machines. So their loyalty is not to Megatron. Their loyalty is to Cybertron itself and the defense of the planet. So because Megatron is the planet, that's who their loyalty lies with. Once he's out of the picture, they are actually perfectly fine aligning with the Maximals. And that speaks of a little bit more of an interesting character dynamic. Also, they're pretty smart as far as things. They are, like, supposedly sparks of Cybertronian heroes. So they do have a brain to them, and the first time we see them, they basically outwit the Maximals pretty well. So, I am going to put them in, for now I'm going to put them in B, but they're definitely above Megatron. So, and I'm going to put Striker just ahead of Obsidian, because Striker, of course, a rare female transformer that breaks the mold as far as, like, not having a feminine design. It's a unique female design, and one that is remembered because, of course, we saw a new version of Striker in animated briefly, and of course we have a little bit of inspiration later on for future characters, one in, like, Cyberverse, for instance. Alright, Airazor. Airazor's a little bit weird here. She doesn't have a whole lot of character depth, but the character she has is actually really cool. She's confident, she's capable in a fight, and she is a very likable character. And the more I think of it, the more I kind of want to... I'm staring at Megatron in B and going, should I move him to C? But Megatron has a lot of these traits, like when he was Savage Noble, very, very good at playing the games. When he's just a free roaming spark, he becomes very terrifying. I'm leaving him there. Airazor, it's the stick track. I don't want to keep throwing these characters into B. Don't worry, we're going to start throwing a few others elsewhere. I do really like her as a character. I wish she did more. Because she spent her time away, she didn't really get to add much into the story. The Trigger being like probably the best examples of episodes for her outside of the Spark. I like her in B. I like her enough to put her very high in the B class. So we'll put her there for now. Again, this is up to debate later on. Black Arachnia from Beast Machines. She is not going to end up in the B tier. So she keeps a little bit of her sarcasm, but beyond that, she loses a lot of that edge that she had as a former Predacon. She's more concerned about her team, which, and like actually like showing audible concern for, and concern and friendship for like Cheetor and Optimus, and the ones she never really did that for, really, in the original in Beast Wars, outside of Silverbolt, of course. She lost so much edge, and she just became, I want to say the girl of the team. Like her whole storyline was basically get Silverbolt back, even after Silverbolt returned. I'm putting her in D. I really did not like her change. I did not like her characterization. Botanica is another interesting one. She came in pretty late in Beast Machines, so there's not a whole lot to her. But what we got of her, I do like. You can definitely tell she was in command of her own ship. She does have this very strong personality to her. Her relationship with Rat Trap probably being where we got to see the most shades of gray to her, or at least the most layers. Not shades of gray. I'm looking for layers. That's the word I'm looking for. She is admittedly a character of plot convenience. The Maximals are trying to restore plant life to Cybertron, and they just so happen to get a plant transformer to land. Oh, that's great timing on that one. Also, a little bit hurt by the fact that I don't think the animators could ever keep what her robot mode and beast modes were. I couldn't either. I don't think most could. I think this picture is her robot mode. So she's not a bad character, but she just doesn't have a whole lot to her. Just because she didn't have a whole lot of time, I think is the only reason that I wouldn't bump her any higher. But what she is, I thought was interesting. And yeah, I'm moving Megatron to C. I just couldn't. I just kept staring at him like, no, that's too high. That's too high. I had to mark him down based on like what he was. So, Beast Machines Cheetor, the literal poster boy of the entire franchise, because his was the only packaging artwork on any of the boxes until the second series of toys, when they threw in Optimus for a view. This one, I actually really, really like Beast Machines Cheetor as a character. It shows the conclusion of his growth from Beast Wars, to where he can actually take command of the Maximals, and he is convincing as a leader character. That development and growth in that young character to future leader that they try to do with Hot Shot and even Hot Rod to an extent, and never really accomplished. Cheetor had the time and the progression through 3 seasons of Beast Wars, and it all culminates in his moments in Beast Machines. Not only as a second in command, but for a while as the main Maximal, the Maximal in charge. He's an A for me. He is absolutely an A. A very cool character. And then we have the normal Cheetor, who I'm probably also going to put in A for completely different reasons. He is the fun kid appeal character, but we also see a lot of growth with his character as described. We basically get to see him go from, this immature teenager to the young adult as a Transmetal 2, where he's edgier, but he's losing some of the like the ultra gear and all the slang he threw in. He's losing that child aspect of him. So it's a fascinating character growth to see. And yeah, he does make for a pretty good character. Depth charge. He is the brooding bad boy of the Maximals. I'm not totally buying into that. He's got anger issues. He's got authority issues. I do like that he adds a shade of gray. Now I'll get to use it properly. I like that he adds a shade of gray to the Maximals. Because it's always so heroic and goody two-shoe. He actually adds a little bit of depth to Maximals as a whole, just knowing that ones like him actually exist. I do wish he had a little bit more screen time. You know, we only really got to see him in one episode where he wasn't all about Rampage. I'm gonna put him lower down in B, somewhere around there. Yeah, I know character-wise he's really cool. I just wish he did a little bit more. Yeah, I don't really, do I really have to debate this? I firmly believe that Dynabot is one of the best written Transformer characters of all time. I genuinely believe, like, in character depth, I don't think anyone matches him in character depth. There are so many layers to Dynabot, from his sense of honor to his loyalties to his, ponderings of his destiny and fate. Yeah, it's just so much going on with that character. This list does not contain Transmetal 2 Dynabot, who I would absolutely qualify as a different character. But as a character, Transmetal 2 Dynabot would end up in the D rank. I'll just say that right now, because he wasn't really a character. He was a clone with with just his aggression pumped up to the max. So not terribly interesting. He's just there to be like a force of violence. But the original, the OG Dynabot, best of all time. Followed shortly by Misarachnia. Again, I think Black Arachnia would be the best character in any series that didn't have Dynabot in it. She has, again, quite a few layers to her, being the first protoform forced into becoming a Predacon, and then her lust for power, it overwhelming her, her machinations with to access the Ark, and of course her relationship with Silverbolt that slowly changed who she was and changed what was most important to her, which became Silverbolt and her own survival rather than just gaining power. And also one of the best traitor characters, just because she could always talk her way out of Megatron's wrath, which was great. Again, fantastic character growth. It ends at Beast Machines, and not in the good way like Cheetor, but for what it is. Brilliant character. Inferno. Total one-note character. We're going to say that right now. There is only one note. It is loyal and manic. That is essentially what Inferno is. Inferno, extremely entertaining. I will say that. He is always fun. Hey, he just won a Hall of Fame vote ahead of Rat Trap for some reason. But hey, I take that up to the fact that he's the only one that was not announced for a Kingdom or Legacy release. Give it time. He'll get there. I'm putting him in C. I love the character. He's entertaining, but he's barely a character. He doesn't... For as long as he's in the show, he really does not put anything into the plot. And considering he was supposed to be killed off at the end of Season 2 and survive through Season 3, I think kind of shows just how little he was contributing. Jetstorm. Beast Machines has a way of just like going from really disappointing characters to just like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. He's one of those characters. His depth only comes from the fact that he's made aware that he's Silverbolt and does not want to return to being Silverbolt. The character himself, extremely entertaining. He is probably one of the he is the highlight for me. He is absolutely the highlight of Season 1 Beast Machines. I'm putting him at A. He's going to be a lower A because, to be consistent, yeah, he does not, he doesn't have any character growth or anything like that, and his entertaining to me is way more than Inferno's entertaining. Also, one season compared to 2 seasons, and Inferno, actually no, 2 and some. Inferno was debuted in Season 1. That's a lot of time to do absolutely nothing in plot-wise or story-wise. So, Jetstorm, not the case. Megatron himself in Beast Wars. Boom. Right up to the S. Don't even have to think about it. One of the most calculating Megatrons of all time. One of the smartest. One of the most sinister. And, yeah, just a prime example of what a good villain should be. He was capable of getting wins over the Maximals once in a while. He was capable of outthinking them and outmaneuvering them. He was capable of a grand scheme and saw it almost to a amazing conclusion. And then, when it didn't work, he had a backup plan to get the same results. This is a very, very smart Megatron, which makes him a very, very dangerous main villain, and that made him fantastic. So yeah, S all the way. Night Scream, Bob Skir's self-insert character. Little divided. I've never been big on Night Scream. It's been very obvious that he was like a Mary Sue fanfic written in character. The young boy that gets to hang out with the big Autobots and gets to transform immediately, even though Rat Trap can't, and gets a whole lot of importance put on him, especially when Savage Noble shows up. And yeah, the hair, the stupid hair. D. I'm sure in hindsight I'd probably like him a little bit better if I went back and watched him again, but no. I refuse. I don't want to. Primal from Beast Machines. This one, I didn't like what Beast Machines did to the Season 1 Beast Wars cast. I don't think a lot did. It's unfortunate to see what should be a stronger version of Primal also feel weaker. He goes complete spiritual. But yeah, he had a very spiritual experience. I can't really blame him. But it feels like the tactical leader from Beast Wars kind of left a little bit. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't jive with Spirit Monkey. I'm putting him in C. He's lower than Inferno, lower than Megatron, and then we can move on to his original form, who is a very stand-up and leader. Very, he does show a lot of facets to himself, like his willingness to self-sacrifice. Great, we saw that multiple times. We did see, more diplomatic. I like that he is a scientist first and foremost, because they were on an exploration mission, where they're out studying plants with Dynabot. I love little things like that to remind us like who he really is. It just so happens that he makes a pretty good commander. He is a very good Prime character, a very good Prime, even if his name is Primal. I'm going to drop him there because his character growth is not as extreme as the Cheetors above him. But yeah, he definitely deserves the A rank. Quick Strike. See, this is where I'm kind of like missing a little bit with Inferno. Quick Strike, again, he's more of a comical character. He spends most of his time getting blown up or shot. Not the most effective Predacon, but does have some interesting moments, like trying to take over with Tarantulas. Great. That shows a little bit, and then him trying to work back into Megatron's good graces. Yeah, he does have a little bit more to him than, the likes of Inferno. He's still not the greatest character, but I do definitely want to put him above Inferno. So that's where he goes right now. Rampage. Rampage starts as a really cool, ominous character. I think as a character, Rampage is super cool. Like, feasting on fear and just going, being a psychological terror rather than a physical terror. Let's put this, but his whole thing is that psychological advantage over his opponent. Getting them to be afraid of him. That's cool. That's a very different angle for a Predacon or even a Decepticon, especially back then. So he does go higher. I think I want to put him somewhere down in B. He's as high as B, but I don't think he contributes quite as much as the ones above him. Admittedly, he has a role in the show that kind of prevents that, but Rat Trap and Beast Machines. So I do think it makes sense that Rat Trap is the one that had difficulty mastering the new method of transforming, because personality-wise, he's definitely the one that would be the hardest to overcome that mental requirement. I don't like what they did with him later. I don't like the robot mode with no legs. Okay, I'm all for, I'm the guy who really likes Chip Chase in the original cartoon, but it doesn't make sense for Rat Trap to suddenly lose his legs for his robot mode. I don't know why they went that direction. Yeah, it was just a really weird change, and then to see him as the tech guy, the gadgety guy, when he was a spy. He had his little gadgets, like a spy would, but no indication that he's the one who made them. And all of a sudden, because he's weaponless, they made him the science guy, and now he's inventing a lot of the gadgets and tech for the Maximals. It just feels like they just threw him in because they needed someone to invent stuff for the Maximals. He's still got a little bit of Rat Trap in him, so I'm moving him to C, but yeah, he's just not. He's not. Let's talk about the original Rat Trap, though. The original Rat Trap is a whole lot of fun. He is the snark of the Maximals. It's very fun to watch him have very little respect for Primal and the rest of his crew early on, and then slowly build that up. And then, of course, his relationship with Dynabot is legendary. It's some of the best rapport two Transformers ever had with each other. So, he's going up in A. I'm going to put him above Jetstorm. God, do I like him better than Optimus Primal? I kind of do. He's a more entertaining character. He did go through some more character growth. Yeah. I think I like him better than Primal. Just character-wise, I think so. It's a close one, though. Now it's a real close one. Ravage. This is fascinating. Ravage kind of highlights the problem with characters like Inferno and Quick Strike to an extent, where the character is only around for 2 episodes. No, keep in mind, the first episode, he's not around. In the first episode, he's not around for the first segment. In the third episode, he is not around after the first segment. So I'm giving him 2 episodes worth of time. But in that time, we got a fascinating take on Ravage. One that was willing to work alongside the Maximals. Again, and one who was seeking the Predacon's greater good by taking out Megatron and stopping him from interfering with the time streams. We saw that his true loyalties to the original Megatron. And again, there is a depth to the character, and there are facets to the character that are very well presented in a short amount of time. So, and of course, it's Beast Wars Ravage, who is an incredibly cool character. So yeah, I want to put him up in A. I can't put him up any higher than that because, of course, he was not around much longer. He was just there for 2 episodes worth of time. That's all we're giving him. Rhinox. Rhinox has no character growth, but he's not the kind of character that needs it. He's in that role of just being kind of like the anchor of the Maximals. He is that one like immutable factor that the rest of the crew can rely upon and revolve around. That makes him a very good character. Admittedly, not a whole lot of growth to him, but he is a very good character for the show. And the episodes that focus on Rhinox, I think, are some of the strongest ones. So I'm going to put him in B, and I'm going to put him at the top of B. Only because, like I said, like especially as the seasons go on, he does less and less. But for when he's doing his thing, he's good. Oh, he's good. Scorponok. Scorponok suffers a lot because the writers were not entirely sure what to do with him. In some episodes, he's making bioweapons for the Predacons. In other episodes, his intelligence is so dim he is speaking in the third person. Scorponok loyal to Megatron. Things like that. So it's hard to tell where the character stood. It's hard to tell where he is, like, intelligence-wise, and, it's kind of hard to tell what he's in. So, he's low on the list. I'm gonna put him in D, because, there's just not a lot to him. There's not a lot to him, and there's way too much inconsistency, I think, is the thing. It's like, he's just, some episodes he's smart, some episodes he's dumb, and some episodes he's, like, smack dab in the middle, and it just feels like he's just lost and just kind of serving whatever the episode needs at the time. Silverbolt. This is once again one of those types of characters that doesn't really have to change too much. He just has to be himself. He is that noble, pure-hearted hero of the Maximals, and that is a wonderful thing to see. As much as I like the shades of gray that Depth Charge bring in, I like seeing the bright brilliance white that Silverbolt is. That's a nice little contrast. And and then we get to like the darkest, which is when when Black Arachnia joins up. There's your scale. And that's appropriate that those are the two who are together. I do think it shows an interesting side that he's willing to risk his life to give Black Arachnia a chance to be the Maximal she was supposed to be, and his own love for her driving his character so much, especially into doing things that are against his code of honor, like stealing parts for her. That makes him a little more interesting. Yeah, so I kind of want to put him... He's a high B or a low A. He's a high B or a low A. Yeah, I want to put him low A. Tankor. We can't look at normal Tankor. Normal Tankor is just mindless oaf. Just absolute like the Hulk. That's what his role is. We can't look at that. We have to look at when Rhinox's spark was restored to consciousness and the villain he became. Now, the level of sinister that Rhinox was not intended. It's supposed to be more remorseful than it ended up being. It came across as though that he was completely tainted or corrupted somehow. And I think they implied that when we got to see Rhinox in the Matrix at the beginning of Season 2. He makes for a really good secondary antagonist. Because it looks like he's in control. It looks like he is, manipulating both sides very well. It turns out he's not as smart or clever as he thinks. But the element I like about this is that this was prophesized all the way back in Season 1 of Beast Wars when Rhinox was forcefully turned into a Predacon. And Megatron turned him back because he realized as a threat, as a competing force of evil, he's a little bit too crafty. He's a little bit too smart. And Rhinox showed it here when he willingly went to the dark side. This time, Megatron was one step ahead of him. I think that conclusion at the end of Season 1 is actually a pretty good payoff to what we got a very brief glimpse of back in Season 1 of Beast Wars. That, I think, is some of the better writing, and though is probably unintentional. We'll admit that. Because it's so off of Rhinox, I'm putting him in C. But I'm judging him. I'm still putting him that high because I think he made an interesting villain for the series. Tarantulas. Tarantulas is the enigma of Beast Wars. We're never quite sure exactly what he is or what his ultimate goals are. So we know that, well, aside from just being super creepy because he's a cannibal, he is a brilliant inventor. He is a special agent of the Predacon secret police. He is, a double agent within Megatron's own organization. And you kind of think, with how many times he tried to betray Megatron, you'd think you'd figure that out. And then the whole other origins, which was never properly explained, and not a Unicron spawn. That was a clarification. That was something the fans misinterpreted and let spread. That was not what they meant. But it makes him fascinating because there's elements to Tarantulas we still don't know, and there's elements to even his motivations we still not completely sure of. Why did he hate the Vox so much, outside of just, robot racism? He's going in A, and I think I like him better than Primal too. I love the element of chaos that Tarantulas brings in, and I like the mystique to him. Pterosaur is the Starscream of the series. Only one season to flex his muscle. He had one episode where he got enough power to take over. And then from then on, he was trying to look for some other ally, someone else to kind of pitch in and be his muscle while he was the brains and the big leader. He never really got to pull off the grand scheme. He never really got to do the Starscream thing. He ended up playing a lackey and just like a gun fodder Predacon for most of the series. A likable one. He is somewhat of a cool character, but again, not accomplishing a whole lot. So I'm putting him in C, but he gets to be above Inferno and Quick Strike because he did try to do a lot more, and there's a little bit more to him. Thrust was a character that was trying to be cool when he was a Viacon. He gets more interesting once he's the odd man out amongst Striker and Obsidian, being the one general left from the original batch who they look down on, but he's also the one who stays loyal to Megatron the longest, even after Obsidian and Striker decide Megatron's gone. We're going to move on. We're moving on. So there is a little bit something to him. He's not a terribly great character. He's going to end up somewhere in the C's. I think I want him below Pterosaur. He's fine. It's just, and I think because we find out that it's Waspinator's spark powering Thrust, I think we find out, that's why Thrust feels like he's trying too hard to be cool. Tyga Tron. Here's a character that did not do a whole lot plot-wise, but he actually does stand out very strong because some of the things he did, very poignant. He was the one who hated the war the most. He felt more comfortable in the wild in his beast mode. That made him a little bit more interesting. His mentorship with his relationship with Cheetor, and then a relationship with Airazor. Both interesting factors, both fun to watch. And he does have a pivotal moment in the series where Call of the Wild, I think the episode is, where he, shows the flaw in maximal programming with how their beast modes operate. Really, really like Tyga Tron. So he's not. I think the most appropriate thing I can do is put him right there next to Airazor. I think he's a little bit cooler. He's got a little bit more depth to his characterization. I wouldn't put him above Rhinox, but Tyga Tron's really cool. And then Tiger Hawk. Tiger Hawk is a mistake. So personality-wise, once the Vok leave him, all we get is he's basically Tyga Tron. He's Tyga Tron with a few bits of Airazor's flair and mannerisms to him. So a little blend of the both. But he's essentially Transmetal 2 Tyga Tron. Essentially. He's not an interesting character. He's not a character. He's a plot device because they weren't sure if they're going to use him in the toy line, so they weren't sure they're going to use him in the show. And then they decided, okay, so they decided last minute, okay, yes, he's going to be a toy, but they decided so late they had to throw him in at the last second. But then they're like, we're not going to use him, so you have to kill him off really quick. And then they made the toy. The Tiger Hawk is a complete mess. Complete mess. And to separate him as a character from Tyga Tron, which technically he is, no. Oh, no, a dud of a character in a series that had so many good characters. Speaking of, Waspinator. Nothing plot-wise. Waspinator technically never even had any episodes devoted to him. The one episode that prominently featured Waspinator, it was Starscream at the helm. And that's pretty much the only spotlight he got. But he's the lovable loser of the team. Like, we root for Waspinator even though we know he's going to get shot, blown up, chopped up. And it basically just entertained us with how many ways he could get destroyed and still manage to get pieced back together. And there's something fun about the fact that he just could not be put down. He just did not want to be stopped. So, I want to put him in A, but Waspinator is more of a joke than a character and a personality. So, but I'm putting him in A because he's probably one of the most entertaining aspects of this entire series. And now we get to the end. Beast Machine Silverbolt. We know my opinions of the toy. What are my opinions of the character? They were going for a Dark Knight aspect to him. I do like that you take this knight in shining armor and you give him a taste of the dark side. And he finds out he likes it. He likes being freed of his code and his morals. But if you like going against your creed and your code and your honor and all that, are you really following it very well? It does throw... Like, is it really that important to you if you enjoy doing something that is outside it? Like, that's... No. Like, we saw him being uncomfortable stealing parts for Black Arachnia. We know that, like, stuff like that. Yeah, like, he's not. But you're saying that there's a part of him that enjoyed hunting down Maximals. You would say that part of him that enjoyed enslaving, keeping Cybertron enslaved. That makes a really weird characterization. They tried to Dark Knight him, like they just wanted him to be the brooding hero of the series. I think they missed the mark. I think they missed the mark badly. He's a little bit redeemable. Just as far as, okay, if you like that kind of Batman aspect they were going for, but, yeah, he's not a great character. It just feels like they wanted to, the Beast Machines cast in general feels like they wanted to throw in as much contrast to their original personas as possible. And in the case of Silverbolt, I think, no, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't. Alright, so I'm already going to take one change. I am going to put Beast Machine's Cheetor up in S rank. Just because I think, being the culmination of Cheetor's growth, I think that's appropriate for him. I like the A list. I like where the A list is. That feels right. B, Do I put Depth Charge a little bit higher up because he's a cooler character? Like, he doesn't. You know what? I'm gonna put him above. I'm gonna bump him above Obsidian and Strika, because his anger issues come from backstory. He does have some range to him thanks to Rampage and their history. In fact, I kind of want to bump Rampage up a notch too, given that. Tank or the Sea, yeah. Beast, yeah. A lot of Beast Machines toward the bottom. But surprisingly, the worst character I would honestly be a Beast Wars character. I did not expect that. But then, you know, I tend to forget about Tigerhawk, just like Hasbro and the writers did. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Where would you have put this? What did I get wrong? Because I know this is wrong. I know this is completely off, and that your list is completely different. You voted for Inferno to be a Hall of Famer. She should absolutely be an S tier character. Tell me why in the comments below. And who knows? Next time I do one of these tier lists, maybe, just maybe, I'll find something that everyone can agree on. The list is perfect, you know? But probably not. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.